The moment she stepped onto the training yard, laughter erupted. To them, she didn't look like a soldier. She looked like someone who had wandered in by mistake, a stray caught in the wrong place. A cadet with mud-stained boots and a faded backpack, walking into the most brutal military camp in the region. Whispers spread fast. Army takes volunteers from soup kitchens now, one voice jeered. Another cadet leaned over and hissed, "She won't last a week." Then came the shove. In the middle of a drill, a male recruit yanked her collar and ripped the back of her shirt. Mockery burst into the air until the room froze. On her back, etched into her skin, was a tattoo so infamous that even the instructor stiffened. A coiled black viper wrapped around a shattered skull. The colonel in charge stepped forward, his face pale. And then, to the shock of everyone, he snapped into a salute. The camp went silent. That was the moment they realized Olivia Mitchell was not who they thought she was. If you're watching this and you want more untold stories like Olivia's, the ones that shake military camps and rewrite reputations, hit that subscribe button to BR Veteran Stories. Because what happens next will leave you questioning everything. From day one, the commander's eyes never left her. Captain Harrow was built like a mountain and had a voice that could cut through steel. He prowled the training yard, barking at cadets, ripping apart their confidence, until his gaze locked on Olivia. "You," he barked. "What's your story? Supply crew get lost on the way." The recruits snickered, feeding off his scorn. Tara, a blonde with a sharp tongue, leaned toward the cadet next to her and whispered, "She's just here to tick a gender quota box." Laughter followed, but Olivia didn't flinch. Her voice was calm, even steady. "I'm a cadet, sir," Harrow snorted, waving her off like swatting a fly. "Fine, get in line. Just don't slow us down." At lunch that day, she sat alone in the mess hall. Her tray balanced quietly in front of her, while the rest of the room buzzed with loud egos and louder voices. Derek, a cocky cadet with a buzz cut, strutted toward her table, his entourage trailing behind him. He dropped his tray with a slam, sneering. "This ain't a soup kitchen, sweetheart. You sure you're not here to scrub dishes?" The room howled. Derek flicked her tray, splattering food across her shirt. The laughter roared louder, but Olivia didn't even glance at him. She calmly wiped her shirt, lifted her fork, and kept eating. The silence in her defiance was louder than any comeback. The drills that followed were torture push-ups until arms shook, sprints that shredded lungs, burpees under a blazing sun. Olivia never complained, never quit. But her gear betrayed her, laces, frayed boots, barely holding together. During a sprint, Lance, the golden boy of the camp, jogged up beside her. "Yo, thrift store," he called loud enough for everyone to hear. "Shoes giving up, or is that just you?" The crowd laughed. Lance shoved her shoulder, sending her into the mud. Laughter exploded again. She stood, brushed the dirt from her palms, and kept running. Not a word left her lips. And that silence, it only fueled their hate. But they didn't see what was building beneath it. By the second week, the camp had made Olivia their favorite target. Every break, every drill, someone found a way to push her buttons. But she never gave them the reaction they wanted. During navigation training, the cadets had to cross a forest ridge with only a compass and a map. Olivia moved alone, calm, steady, silent. That's when Kyle, a wiry troublemaker, desperate to impress Lance, spotted her. "Hey, Dora the Explorer!" he shouted. "Lost already or picking flowers?" His group circled her like vultures. Kyle ripped the map from her hands, tore it in half, and tossed it into the wind. His buddies roared with laughter. Olivia didn't shout, didn't beg. She just looked at the shredded pieces drifting away, then turned to Kyle. Her voice was cold flat. "Hope you know your way back." And she walked on compass in hand pace, unbroken. The laughter behind her cracked uneasy now. Later that afternoon came the rifle drill. The cadets had 2 minutes to disassemble and reassemble an M4 carbine. Most fumbled parts clattering in the dirt, sweat dripping from their foreheads. Lance finished sloppily at 1 minute 43 and raised his hands like a champion. Tara scraped through just under 2 minutes. Then Olivia stepped forward. She didn't rush. She didn't hesitate. Her hands moved like clockwork. Pin-out, bolt-free parts aligned in a perfect row. 52 seconds. Clean. Flawless. The instructor stared speechless. "Where'd you learn to do that?" "Practice," she said simply. The whispers started after that. Her silence wasn't weakness. It was hiding something. Something big. That night, while most cadets laughed in the barracks, Olivia sat on her bunk and pulled out an old photo. A man stood beside her, his face blurred, his stance sharp, commanding. She traced the edges of the picture with a steady hand, then tucked it away before anyone saw. But she wasn't the only one carrying secrets. The camp itself was about to learn hers, and it would change everything. The next morning was the 10-mile terrain run. Full gear, no breaks, the kind of test that stripped cadets down to raw survival. Olivia kept her pace even steady, her breathing controlled. Tara tailed her, sneering the whole way. "Pick it up, charity case," Tara hissed. "You're dragging us down." At the halfway mark, Tara nudged Olivia's elbow just enough to trip her. Olivia stumbled, ankle twisting, as she crashed into the dirt. The squad groaned. Captain Harrow's voice roared across the field. "Mitchell broke formation, squad loses points." All eyes burned into her. Lance sneered, "Niece won Mitchell. Real team player." But she said nothing. She stood jaw clenched and kept running, her limp barely noticeable. When the run ended, Harrow wasn't finished. 5 extra laps. "Move!" The squad smirked while Olivia forced her broken stride across the track again and again. Sweat streaked her face, breath ragged, but she never slowed. When she finished, Tara tossed an empty bottle at her feet. "Hydrate with air," Tara mocked. Olivia crushed the bottle in one hand and dropped it in the trash. Not a word. That night, under simulated enemy fire, cadets scrambled to set up perimeter defenses. Marcus, a stocky loudmouth, spotted her working alone. He yanked her rope free and flung it into the mud. "Guess you're not cut out for this, huh?" Laughter broke out. Olivia calmly picked up the rope, cleaned it with steady hands, and started again. Marcus kicked dirt over her work. "Keep trying, princess," he sneered. She paused, her voice sharp as a blade. "You done?" The words stunned him. For the first time, Marcus faltered. Later, when instructors checked the lines, Marcus's barrier had collapsed, costing his squad points. No one saw Olivia touch it, but Elena, a quiet cadet who'd been watching, hid a knowing smile. The tide was shifting. Slowly, quietly, Olivia's silence was no longer weakness. It was power. By the time weapons qualifications arrived, the camp's jokes about Olivia had become ritual. Everyone expected her to fail to finally prove their insults right. The range exam was brutal, 5 shots at 400 meters. "Missed too many and you were out." Tara stepped up first, firing nervously, missing 2 shots. Her face drained as she walked off. Lance took his turn, hitting 4, pounding his chest like he'd won a championship. Then Olivia lay down at the line. The whispers started immediately. "Bet she can't even hold it straight." But Olivia didn't react. She adjusted once, exhaled, and squeezed. 5 shots. 5 perfect bullseyes. Silence swallowed the range. The officer leaned forward, blinking in disbelief. "Mitchell, perfect score." From a distance, a colonel watched with narrowed eyes. His voice dropped to his aide, almost a whisper. "That's a special forces trigger. Who trained her?" The others scoffed, calling it luck. But luck couldn't explain what the officer found afterward. Her rifle's sight had been misaligned. She had compensated for every shot without even blinking. The truth was spreading. Later in the mess hall, when food ran out before Olivia's turn, Jenna, tall and smug, dropped a half-eaten apple on her tray. "Here, can't have you starving, right? You'll need strength to carry our bags," her friends howled. But Olivia just picked up the apple, took a slow bite, and finished it, core and all. The laughter turned uneasy. She brushed past Jenna on her way out, her shoulder making Jenna flinch. For the first time, it wasn't Olivia who looked small, but the breaking point came during combat simulations. She was paired against Lance, towering, confident, ready to humiliate her once and for all. The whistle blew. He slammed her against the wall, fists clenched. Her shirt tore across the back, exposing the black tattoo curled across her shoulder blade. The yard went dead silent. The colonel, who'd been watching all along, stepped forward, his face pale. His voice shook. "Who gave you the right to wear that mark?" And for the first time, Olivia spoke words that cracked the camp in half. Olivia stood tall, the torn fabric sliding from her shoulder, the tattoo fully revealed, coiled viper skull split down the center. Her voice was calm, but it carried weight that silenced even the wind. "I didn't ask for it," she said. "It was given to me. by Ghost Viper himself. 6 years of training under his command. Gasps rippled through the yard. Ghost Viper. A name spoken only in whispers. A unit erased from record soldiers who had vanished into shadows. No one wore that tattoo unless they were his final disciple. The colonel's hand snapped to his forehead in a salute. His eyes locked on her with something between fear and reverence. Then you're not just another cadet, you're his legacy. Lance, still gripping her collar, stumbled back as if burned, his face drained of color. Tara's smirk cracked her eyes, darting away, hands trembling. The silence pressed down heavy until Lance shouted, desperate to save face. So what if she's got ink? Prove it in a real fight. Olivia turned her stance calm, her gaze ice cold. If that's what you want. The crowd circled tight, breaths caught. Lance charged, fists flying wild. She didn't strike back. She dodged, parried every movement, precise, effortless. He grew sloppy, exhausted his punches, losing power. Hit me, he roared, furious. She didn't, until the moment came. One motion. An arm hooked around his throat, a twist, a pull. 8 seconds. Lance dropped unconscious at her feet. The camp froze. Captain Harrow stepped forward, face unreadable. He looked at Lance on the ground, then at Olivia. His words cut the silence like a blade. Effective immediately, Olivia Mitchell is honorary instructor. From now on, you learn from her. Not a smile, not a word. She picked up her backpack, pulled her torn shirt closed, and walked through the parted crowd. No one laughed now. No one dared. The camp changed after that. The whispers were no longer mocking. They were fearful, curious, almost reverent. Olivia didn't need to demand respect. It clung to her like armor. The very next day, during a live-fire urban assault exercise, she was assigned to lead a squad that included Tara. From the start, Tara rolled her eyes, refusing to follow Olivia's signals. When Olivia raised her hand to hold the line, Tara bolted ahead, tripping a wire that triggered a blaring siren. The entire course shut down. Captain Harrow stormed over, his voice thunder. Mitchell, your team's a mess. Tara smirked, whispering just loud enough. Told you she's useless. Olivia's voice cut clean. Sir, I signaled her to wait. She broke formation. Didn't see it. Tara lied quickly, her friends snickering behind her. But the truth couldn't hide. A drone replay showed Tara ignoring Olivia's signal in plain sight. Harrow's jaw locked tight. Cadet Tara points docked. The smirks evaporated. Tara's face flushed with humiliation. From that moment on, Olivia wasn't just surviving the camp, she was shaping it. When she demonstrated rifle drills, cadets leaned forward, scribbling notes, watching her every move. She never raised her voice, never barked like the instructors. She simply showed them techniques honed from years under Ghost Viper, and her silence commanded more authority than any shout. Lance was gone, reassigned after his humiliating defeat. Rumors spread he'd been shipped off to some desk job in a forgotten base. No one spoke of it openly, but the message was clear: cross Olivia Mitchell and your career might just vanish. Even Derek, the loudmouth who had mocked her in the mess hall, found himself humbled. During a first aid simulation, he shoved her aside, bragging, I got this. His sloppy bandages cost the dummy its life. The instructor barked, You're killing him, cadet. Derek fumed, blaming Olivia, until she calmly stepped forward, rewrapped the wounds perfectly in seconds. The instructor nodded with approval. That's how it's done. The cadets saw it. The instructor saw it. Everyone began to realize Olivia wasn't here to prove herself. She was here to remind them what real training looked like. But her story was about to collide with something bigger, someone whose presence would shake the entire camp. It happened on a quiet afternoon. The cadets were cleaning their gear when an officer hurried to Olivia, clipboard trembling in his hands. Ma'am, he whispered, his voice low, almost nervous. There's someone here for you. The camp's gate creaked open and a man stepped through. He wasn't in uniform. Black jacket, jeans, stride steady, every movement radiating command. The guard stiffened, even without insignia on his chest. Behind him, the colonel snapped to attention. General, the colonel said. The camp went still. The man's eyes found Olivia, softening for only a flicker. She walked toward him, face unreadable. When she stopped, just a breath away, her voice was flat but carried history. You didn't have to come. He tilted his head, almost smiling. Yeah, he said. I did. The cadets watching whispered wide-eyed. Tara dropped her water bottle, the clatter echoing in the silence. The colonel cleared his throat, his announcement striking like thunder. "This is General Thomas Reed, Olivia Mitchell's husband." Shock rippled through the camp like an explosion. The mysterious cadet they'd mocked, the woman they'd tried to break, was not only Ghost Viper's final student, she was married to one of the most powerful generals alive. No one spoke as Olivia and Reed walked to the same beat-up pickup truck she had arrived in weeks before. The engine roared, dust rising as they drove away. Later, during the final review of cadets, a junior officer suggested cutting Olivia from the program for lack of leadership. The colonel who had once saluted her leaned forward, slid a sealed envelope across the table, and said coldly, "Her file is classified. But here's all you need to know. These are her evaluations from Ghost Viper himself." The officer's hands shook as he opened it. Line by line, his face paled. He didn't say another word. And outside that room, the consequences were already unraveling. Tara's mocking had been recorded by a cadet on his phone. The clip went viral, exposing her cruelty to the world. The defense contractor sponsoring her dropped her overnight, their stock price crashing under the weight of public outrage. Tara left camp in disgrace, her head down, bags packed. Lance's reassignment turned permanent. His file was reviewed and the verdict was brutal discharge for conduct unbecoming. His once proud name reduced to a cautionary tale. Even those who had laughed along without lifting a hand weren't spared. No formal punishment came, but shame lingered in every glance, every silence. Olivia, meanwhile, never returned. Her name stayed on the roster as instructor, but she and General Reed vanished. Some said to run a program. No one could confirm. Others claimed she disappeared like Ghost Viper himself. But the cadets who had seen her, they never forgot. Her story spread, whispered across barracks and battlefields, through mess halls and training grounds. Not a legend, not a myth. Just the truth of a woman who walked into a camp, mocked and underestimated, and walked out saluted. For those who'd been pushed aside, told they didn't belong, her story became a promise. Your time is coming. Hold your ground. You are enough. And that is why Olivia Mitchell's name will never fade. If you've walked with me through her story, take a second, subscribe to BR Veteran Stories, leave a comment on what part hit you hardest, and share this with someone who needs the reminder. Silence doesn't mean weakness. Sometimes silence is power.